Okay guys, let's start the sanding. I'm gonna sand them both really, but this one here we've got to do the repairs because those are quite deep gouges. That one there will just do. Let's do a light sanding over, prime it all. But yeah, that'll need filling. So yeah, so let me get that done and we'll figure it out. Okay, so we're gonna try and we're not gonna try. We're gonna do this, but it's a bit hard to get the lighting right with blacks and stuff, with black paint and that, to get you guys the correct view. But we're sort of gonna do a little bit of in my lap view here because I don't quite know the better way to do this. It's a pretty boring job and it's time consuming, so I want to be comfortable. Okay, so big dogs, we've got some pretty deep gouges here. So what is this? 100 and can't see it on there, but it's 180 grit. The reason why you wouldn't use this if you were just going to repaint it, I wouldn't use this, it scratches too deeply. So I'm just doing this to take off the edges because sort of the way the plastic did its thing is it like it leaves raised edges, so it like squeezes in. It didn't take any black plastic out, it just squeezed it and like left raised bumps and holes and all that kind of stuff. So what I need to do is just do a basic smooth off. See, it's very, very harsh. So you don't want to be going too wild with this. And you could use a block, but because it's a curved piece, I'm not. But I'll just show we'll just do a quick going over this. I don't want to dig too much into those bends because I don't want to rebuild them that much. Just take off the burrs basically. I'm going to put a little bit of filler over this. But we'll come in here with a much less aggressive sandpaper. This is like the most aggressive I'd go with this. And you'll know, but you've got to be careful here, right? Because if you can just keep sanding, if you keep feeling something, that's obvious, right? There's a dent, it's indent there, so you don't want to go until that's flat, because then you're going to flatten that whole piece, and then the curve will be a nightmare to rebuild. You don't really want to. So I'm just taking the roughness off the top, and then I'll come in with a nicer sandpaper in a bit. Well, I say nicer, just not as aggressive. And guys, like I say, this is just my opinion. I'm not a professional painter at all. So all I do is I'm going to test with this piece. And then, like I say, if I don't get a good enough job, if I didn't do a good enough job on it, I'll just take it to a paint shop. I'll just take all the panels and get them matched. Yeah, that felt quite light. Just again, this is a little bit raised. I can feel it. You can see there's like a high spot there. See? What have we got here? Just trying to see if I've got any cracks and stuff. Seems like paint sort of staying in this. That's either a hole or a slight crack. I didn't think I'd cracked it. But we shall see. And the art here is to do a nice enough job that it's not noticeable, you know? That's the trick. Or the end goal at least. Nice and smooth. Yeah, this obviously will require some bits of filling and stuff, but let's get it nice, big dogs. Just go a quick little run over, feel, well, that still feels a bit rough here. But remember, we're using a very, very aggressive sandpaper here, so you need to be very, very careful. This is a wet and dry as well, so you can use some water if you want. Make sure we clean it up nice. Okay, so that's that. So I've got some tack cloths in there to use a bit later. That's sort of the damage we've done here with this so far. See that? Stuff like that, I want to go a little bit deeper into those little bits. Because they sort of like, to try and describe it to you, it's like it's like a shell, you can see where the paint's coated and it's gone through to the plastic underneath. So you want to try and get those little burrs and that off. Yeah, leave me to that, and then I'll come back to you guys with a, when we change the sandpaper grade. Okay, so what I'll do now, a little bit of isopropyl alcohol, that or some type of like panel wipe of sorts or something. And just clean this part down a bit, get all the dust and stuff out. Not only does it allow you to see a bit better, but it'll take off all the oils and stuff. Now, I leave this quite rough, so I don't quite. Well, my thought process behind it is that the filler will stick in a little bit more and stuff like that. But yeah, that's I'm not exactly a professional painter, but that's just the thought process behind it. I just want the filler to grab there, and then I'll obviously go a lot smoother over. But I'm gonna go probably a little filler here. I'll put a light bit of filler over it anyway, and then just go from there. Sand it down, but with the things with filler, you don't want to put too much on. I'm hoping that you guys are getting to see this. I'm trying to go for the reflection of the light on this panel. But yeah, let me mix a little bit of that up. See what we can get. Okay, so this is where the whole process starts to become pretty wasteful when you're new to it and you don't really know what you're doing. So basically what I did is I just got that one with just sachets, because you can get the tins of it and stuff. You just end up wasting it. So I prefer to just, even if it costs a little bit more to get these sachets, I prefer it, because even this one sachet is going to be too much, because I'll explain the conundrum I've got. Because I'm going to repair this panel, right? And you want a plastic filler so it can flex a little bit and stuff. But I want to also do that one, do the scratches on the big panel behind you that you can see. So I prefer to have used, the one set of filler for both. The issue I've got here is that, let's say it doesn't come out nice, then I've gone and potentially done, terrible work on both. So I'm going to try and mix the one up a little bit, do this panel, try and seal the sachet, and then use the same sachet on that. But I'll have a few more anyway left in there. But I think you guys understand the method and the madness, and I would definitely say the same thing to you. You try and I've painted other stuff, you've seen me do that in my other videos, but plastic I haven't done properly. So like you haven't done that, so I want to definitely see how this all turns out. Because remember, yeah, you go and paint this, you start using the wrong thing. Look at the flex in this. Look at the flex. You'll just twist that and then everything will just break. So you've got to be really, really careful here. Time costs money too, so I don't really want to be wasting time. Sometimes you just need to go, send it to people that sort of professionals at their trade, but also it's a cash thing. Most of you guys are watching this because you want to repair it yourself, and it's a cost thing. So yeah, let me mix this up, big dogs. Okay, so we're gonna show you this now. We're gonna mix this. I went and hit the panel with a little bit more alcohol wipes, and with these, right, I've got four sachets in there. So I just knead them a little bit, because you never know how long they've been sitting on the shelf. So I just want to nip the tip of this off, because I don't want to, I already described to you guys, I want to attempt to use this on the other panel too, which I'll do that bit off camera probably. Remember, a little goes a long way, yeah? So yeah, I haven't used that, so that's quite a bit to be fair, but let's just get that bit off there quick. Yeah, it looks quite different than what I'm used to. Yeah, so you don't want to put too much of this, because this will set it off quick, because I'm not using a lot of, it's too much probably. and then you twist the cap off and then you just put it on the reverse way. That is actually probably too much for that amount of filler, so I'm gonna have to be quick. You got like 4 minutes, it says. So you want to really be folding it over itself. You don't want to be introducing air bubbles like I am. So let's... Yeah, I haven't... You can see I haven't got much here. So to try and mix it all and get it on before it dries could be fun. This is one of the most irritating parts, actually. And to have mixed it, you've got to mix it all through to get that hardener in, so it sets it off. I think I've probably done enough there. Try and scoop it up and dot around. Probably got a little bit too much air in it, to be fair. But let's go. Let's go. So you can see, hopefully I've got that all on camera. Yeah, you don't really want to, like I said, I put some more alcohol on that. You don't really want to put tons on, because putting tons on just means more sanding. I might need to use the... Sorry guys, let me concentrate here for a sec. That's quite a lot, to be fair. Am I getting you guys all on camera here? I'm pressing into it a bit so that it can go into those scratches. Yeah, this doesn't look pretty, but there's method in the madness here. You could probably get a better... Like when I've done some stuff in the past, I've used a metal blade that was a little, well, a metal applicator that was just a little bit more precise. You see, that's a bit too high, so I want to really scrape some of that off, because that is going to be an actual nightmare to sand down. Like I say guys, less is more with this kind of stuff. I don't mind having that ridge there, because that may... Oh, you see already what I'm doing is, like when you drag back in, it's you start dragging in stuff that's drying, right? This is the one that had the isopropyl alcohol on, so let's just... Ah, I think I'm dragging in, but look, imperfection in the applicator. Look, there's an actual burr there. What a pain. So I couldn't actually get that straight. Let's try that again. Yeah, this is just stuff goes in. Yeah, it already feels better. Can you see? It's going on a little bit nicer. But we need to get that off of there, because that is too much. Yeah, so that line that was coming in there, guys, was the burr from the applicator. Yeah, I don't mind that slight raised edge there. It doesn't bother me. Just take off that excess. Because I want to start going smooth now. Are we still on? It's already, I can already feel that it's hardening. You can see, like people who know what they're doing, you'll notice that that's already hardening. Now, in the situation that I'm in here, yeah, so that's it. It's quite good that you've seen this, to be honest, because I put it on too thick. As you can see, the dents underneath it, you know, that has covered it. But what this will cause me now is this will cause me a lot of sanding, and I need to be pretty careful when I take this down, because you don't want to knock that all off. You want it to have like some adhesion to the crack or hole or whatever it is underneath. So yeah, so there we go guys. Now I need to wait. So I pretty much dropped the ball there. I wasn't quick enough. Too much hardener, and yeah, that's what happens. It's already dried, but it's quite cool because I've covered those gaps. But what we'll do is we'll leave that now to dry, revisit it. Well, I can maybe mix a little bit more because I've got a little hole there, but I'm gonna hit that with a little bit more sandpaper actually while I wait. It gives you a little bit of time to look around the panel and stuff. It's not the end of the world, but you want to be cleaning this now. Make sure it doesn't dry on here, because this will be a pain. So let me get all that off. And join me back once I'm doing some more sanding. This one might be a nice one to see, to be honest. Can you see that dent in there? So that's just here. Press into the dent. There we go. It's nice. See, that's what you want to do. You don't want to put too much. Perfect. That's just a bad sand mark. There we go. I put a little bit there. That's one I just showed you. That one over there is still drying. And I've got one little bit to do here somewhere. Here. Show you that quick. Now, basically I'm putting panels on top of each other back there, but you need to obviously be careful. He says, yeah. Just trying to see if you guys can see. Can you sort of see there with the glare? 3 dots. So I'm just going to press into them a little bit. I don't mind if this sticks up a little bit, because I'm just going to sand it off anyway, but we want to put the least amount of material on this stuff as possible, because I haven't sanded plastic filler before, but a normal filler is rubbish to sand. So there we go, the least possible. I've got a lot of stone chips up in here, so that should hopefully go with the filler primer should do that. But I mixed quite a lot this time. Wasteful, I know, but I just want to do the rest of the panels. Like, as you can see, guys, I've sanded them all down. Let's quickly clean this up. I wasn't going to, as you saw earlier in the video, but to be fair, what is it? It's still going to cost me the same whether I mess them up or not, to be honest, from a paint shop's perspective. Maybe, you know, if I did a really terrible job in filling, it might bill me a bit more, but I doubt. I'm not putting tons of filler on here. This is still tacky, so yeah, gotta wait for the stuff to dry. Can take sort of half an hour-ish. And then what I'll do is I'll wet sand. Well, basically I'll use a little bit of an aggressive sandpaper thing just to get this off of here, but you don't want to go too aggressive, to be honest, because I don't want to dig back into those scratches. So here's where you could start using a block. So I have got a sanding block. Just don't ignore the paper that's on that. I'll put like some wet and dry on there, and that'll be me. So I'll use the block now, because I don't want to start using my fingers and working my way into those gaps, and then, you know, making a dent in there again. So I'll start using the block. I know it's curved, I get all that. I won't use the block everywhere. I'll have to go a little bit just to give it that nice smooth curve, so I'll have to go with my hands in some parts. But you've just got to use common sense, big dogs. But we'll let this dry. Potentially this will be a part 1, part 2, part 3 video, so this could potentially be the end of part 1. What I'll do is, like I say, wet and dry sand the whole lot, take the panels away, go wash them, clean them all off, then use panel prep or isopropyl alcohol, and then we prime them all. And when I say wet, and I would have obviously wet and dry sanded all of this, yeah, so all the shininess should be gone. And then yeah, the fun will really begin, because the painting part's also the real hard part, getting the finish nice, and then, you know, clear coating it nicely. With this paint, the sort of, they call it like it's not actually a matte black, it actually looks silver, to be honest, but the color codes on the bike claim that that's sort of like a black. That I'm going to need to try and get the paint match, because you shouldn't, I think, chuck clear over the top of that, because it has got a sort of matte finish. So that'll be definitely fun to attempt to replicate that. So yeah, it'll be fun and games, big dogs. We get it close enough, we'll be happy, because what I'll do is I will go and do all the panels. This is just my sort of test, the front sort of fairing, the sides. So then I'll go in to do the, you know, top of the fairing and stuff like that, and go do the rear bits. But yeah, we'll get there, big dogs. Thanks for viewing. You guys are, yeah, top supporters. Subscribers are going up ever so slightly, but we don't care as long as we get quality, you know. Enjoy, big dogs. Okay, so it's dried. So there we go. I'll try and show you. So there's a bit left on the lid. We can get you some shine. So you can see it's like, it has dried, but it's got a little bit of give. But basically, let's say you haven't degreased and stuff properly, you'll have this where it just doesn't stick to the plastic. So that's what you want to try and make sure it's clean and all that kind of stuff. And hopefully I mixed enough hardener and stuff in there. We'll soon find out. So I'm going to just use, this is 400. Might not be aggressive enough to take that off. I might need to go a little bit more aggressive. But I want to use this block now, because I don't really want to. Let's see if I've got a little bit of the more rough stuff, just to knock off a bit of those high edges. Knock off a bit of the rough stuff. You can remember what happened yesterday where I let it dry. It dried too quick, so. And that's the premise really, so I'm going to go here. Keep going. I'm going to use a bit, let's get a bit of the more aggressive paper here. See, this is the issue that I was telling you guys about, is basically if you put too much on, it's an actual nightmare to get it off. So yeah, this is pretty boring, so leave me to it. Let me sand this down and I'll show you how good I get it. And that's that. I'll join you back in a sec. I want to try to show you guys everything. Don't really want to miss stuff. Because you'll see the... Basically I want you guys to try and see the whole process really. Because it's not... I don't think it's really easy. It's time consuming, but you got to do it properly. Can you see how high that is, right? So now I'm using a quite more aggressive. This is probably like 100, like, I don't know, it's quite thick. I think it's like 120 or something like that. And because that's just totally raised, as you can see, that's just a massive edge. I'll use this aggressive sandpaper to get that down. Try not to touch anything else with it. But like I say, as soon as you start going down, you need to be careful, because you will start to gouge into the plastic. But as you can see, that's what I'll do. I'm just going to take off those high bits, because you want to try and keep those contours still. But you see, sorry, I just don't want to then go back to the 400 and let you guys think that I did it all with 400 grit and you try it yourself and then it takes absolutely forever. So there is some more aggressive sandpaper being used here for the high spots, okay? So just keep that in mind. And try and show you guys. We got our isopropyl, the alcohol, the like I say, alcohol or panel wipe. Maybe you can see, we should be able to see where I put a bit of the filler there. I'm trying to catch the sun, the light's reflection. So yeah, so pretty much you can see a little bit there. And up here we had those scratches. So if you feel that, you can't really feel any raised bits. I try to follow the contour a little bit, and those were where gouges were. And up here. So yeah, pretty cool. It's come out nice. But like I said, I wouldn't go and like touch this now and then attempt to paint it. I'd wipe the whole lot down again. My issue I've just got to think of now is where am I going to hang things and how am I really going to paint this. So I'll need to go over the rest of it and get all the shininess away. Get that with a little bit of wet and dry, and then prime it again. Some people will try and paint straight over it. Don't. Just prime it again. It's not worth the hassle trying to, you know, get all that back, you know, the paint back off and stuff. So yeah, that'll be it. Just the whole point here, and then, you know, to clean it. So as you can see, in behind it's all dirty and stuff. So what I do is I'll just take these, soap these all down, basically, yeah, sand it all, soap it all down, wash it all, then panel cleaner or alcohol, isopropyl alcohol, and then get ready to put down your primer. And then just remember, once you've primed, you don't necessarily want to then touch it and stuff and then go paint it. You want to try and get your whole process ready, and if you set everything out and you have it all planned, the paint job will come out nice. Okay, big dogs, let me do the rest of the panels. Okay, so I'm gonna try and show you guys this. So there we go. So that's, I think it was 400 to give it that sort of, take all that clear coat off, take the shininess off. Let's try and take a bit of light away. What do you need more? So yeah, now I've left the other panels, I haven't done the other panels yet. So you can see still quite shiny and haven't been washed and stuff, so I used a bit of water. Ended up using water and a bit of 400. So just pretty much used water with the wet and dry, and it was quite nice, glided over nicely. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Those are my repairs, nice and smooth. And obviously before I paint it, I will I'll go over it with some panel wipe or isopropyl alcohol or something, and I'll prime it first, and then we'll get some paint on it, and I'll show you guys the whole lot. And if I didn't mention, this is after the wash. It's after the soap wash. So that's all sanded down. Nice soapy wash. You wouldn't normally use soap on painted stuff, but we want to get all the greases and stuff off as much as we can. Yeah, the panel wipe's going to do that, but this will take off the debris as well. You know, the sand and all those kind of bits. But I was just going to do these pieces right in the beginning and leave it as that instead of doing the other big bits. But I will obviously paint these first. Gloss black is very hard to paint, shows up all the imperfections and stuff. But I'm in on this anyway, so I'm going to do the whole lot. But this will just be nice for the video, show you guys just a little bit. Okay, cool. So we've got the parts all prepped and stuff, so they're all smooth. Now what we're going to do is get some of that like panel prep on them. Use whatever you want. I'll show you what I'm going to use. So I bought some, like you could, I use normally isopropyl alcohol, but I'm going to use some of that bad boy. Nice little ding there from delivery, so that's pretty cool. Lucky that didn't split. Yes, I'm going to use that. Wipe these all down, get the greasy bits off, and then we'll hit it with some primer and see what it gives. Yeah, so yeah, what I'll do is I'll go over all of this, but I'm just showing you, like, it's pretty basic process, right? But I need to actually hang on to this part, so I'm going to need to put the camera down. But yeah, that's the basic premise. It's just quick wipe over, soak this rag. This is just an old piece of cloth. That's why I got tack cloths, because what this will do is it'll potentially leave like little bits of like fibers and that all over there. So you don't really want to just be using this and then putting the primer straight down. You can sand it and stuff afterwards, but you don't really want to. So yeah, that's what the tack cloth's all about, but we'll get to that bit later. To be totally honest with you guys, I don't know if you guys can see this, but it's a slight, you can see I put on a little bit too thick there. So it hasn't quite made like a ridge for a run, but what I'll do is I'll hit it with a little bit of wet and dry, but I'll keep it dry and I'll clean it up afterwards. Just, I don't like it when that'll definitely be a raised edge. You spray black paint onto that and you'll see that. But remember that little nick we had? It was very hard to get this camera to focus on this. Okay, see that little nick there? So what I would do is I would like hit that with a little bit of sandpaper, rough up the edges just slightly. Are you guys seeing it? Yeah, it's just a little pinhole, but that will irritate you when you put fresh paint on it because it will look absolutely terrible. And you can use something like, you can go and remix some of your filler, but you want to scrape it up a little bit first, or just use like a tiny bit of like knifing putty or something to do like that tiny bit. That's not going to flex like the plastic filler will, but for minor just like little imperfections like that, it can work a treat. But yeah, primer didn't come out bad at all, other than that little spot that I did there. But now this is the part where you go back over it, make sure it's all smooth. If anything came out a little bit thick, which this didn't, you know, there's no blotches or anything, give it a nice little quick little sand down, whatever imperfections you didn't like, because this is where you'll get your paint beautiful. You got to do the prep work, like get the primer down nice and flat and everything, and then the paint will be beautiful, hopefully, going on. But just don't be afraid to re-sand it and stuff and then clean it. I know that when you get to this point, it can be quite, like, you can be irritated, it takes a lot of time and stuff, but seriously, do not skip anything here. You really have to put in the work at this bit, or you drag these parts to the paint shop and it's costing you some skrill. Yeah, so there we go, there's me, tiny bits of knifing putty. I'll just show you exactly what I did here. I put it on, but the part moved a little bit, so I messed that up, so I put way too much. I did not want to put that much, but I'll have to sand that off. But I'm going to give this a couple of minutes just so it all dries nicely, and then I'll sand it all back. Okay, so I've got a light so you guys can see a bit better, hopefully. There we go, so that little bit of knifing putty went down a bit low, as you can see the bit of plastic behind. Did that bit too. But went round and sanded the whole lot with the wet and dry, but I kept it dry. I think it's like 400 grit or something like that. So it's nice and smooth again. And then I'll go put on basically another coat of the primer, and then go back over, sand it all over again, just get it nice and smooth so that when the paint goes on, it looks nice. Something I probably didn't mention, which is worth mentioning, is you can get like different types of like degreaser and stuff with, like, as you can see, they're like fast drying and stuff like that, slow drying. So yeah, keep that in mind too. Okay, cool. Pretty happy to say the priming stage is done. So it's 2 coats of primer. When that dries up, sand that down with the fine grit sandpaper, get that smooth, and then we'll chuck the paint on afterwards. Probably can't hear me now, that car coming. Congratulations for that bit of noise, but yeah, there we go. Okay, so we sanded all that down again. Used one of these babies. Just get all the dust and bits off. Had the spray can out in the sun. So now we'll give, so this is the like sort of diamond black. So let's do a little test spray, because I've used this can before, so I don't want to, make sure it doesn't come out like all blotchy and bitty. Now, there we go, the bug really decided to jump on there. Okay, I'm just going to quickly show you guys just a couple of passes, because I really want to concentrate on this. I don't want to hold the camera and try and do it. I really want to do this properly. So also remember, when it's warm, you don't need to be that far away from the part, especially with these spray cans, but that's what I'm pretty much doing. Light dusting first, and I'll come back to it. Yeah, so pretty much the best description for sort of the way I'd probably try and describe the first coat is it looks a little bit like camo. You don't really get full coverage yet. It's worth taking, like going a little bit slower here, but you don't want to be waiting a long time between coats, because I think like the adhesion's a bit better, like it'll stick together if it's not like really dry, but like obviously you don't want to touch this, but normally if you spray over on one of the cables that you're hanging on, you can sort of touch that, and if it's a little bit like slightly a bit tacky, you can sometimes whack another coat on, just so that they sort of like, is the word amalgamate or something, like go into each other, because you don't want them to totally dry, you know, as far as I know. The same with the clear coat. You want to try and do, when you start doing the painting in the clear coat, you really want to get that done in a day, really. Okay, so it's pretty warm. So this is dried up. You're going to have to, you'll play it by ear with, depending on the temperature and stuff, but you know, between 15 to 30 minutes between coats. But just, like I say, it's steaming hot, so it's drying pretty quick. So I'll whack another coat on, and now I'll try and get a bit more coverage. Okay, so here's the second coat. I got a little bit closer. I didn't want to get too brave, because I don't want any runs and stuff. So the next one, I'll go, you know, pretty close and stuff, and we'll get it. Really want it to look good on the next one. But yeah, that's what we're so far. But coat number 2. Okay, so here is the, well, let's say third coat, but the second real proper coat, to be honest. And here's where you're not really shy. You gotta get up nice and close. Just sorry, just got a light there, guys, so you can see. Yeah, so you want to get a little bit closer here. And you would normally finish probably on this coat. I'm probably gonna have to go a third coat, to be honest. But I'm just gonna double check it in a sec, like properly off camera with the light off. Looks pretty nice, huh? Still got to get some clear on there, obviously. But yeah, looks good. Okay, guys, so I definitely think this is worth showing you. You see that run there? That looks absolutely terrible. There's a bit of a, I think I was a bit too close there too. So I'm going to, there's no clear coat on this yet. So obviously before I put any more paint anywhere, I'm just going to quickly try and sand that down. So also pretty fine grit. Just try and knock off the raised spot, really. You can mitigate these sort of things by, like you see people with the like proper paint stations where they're laying it flat, so you could spray it when it's laying flat and you won't get runs like that normally. So yeah, we'll go with that, and then I'll just quickly sand that down and then spray it up again. It looks a bit tragic, but it needs to be done, and we'll spray it back over and it should be fine. Okay, so there we go. That's about, let's say, roughly 3 coats. Can't really see those repairs. So now what we'll do is we'll chuck some clear coat on it, and the clear coat we'll do with sort of moderate pass first, and then we'll do like maybe another two to three like thicker coats. And now I've got to be very careful, because if I got runs and just doing the painting, the clear coat will be even worse. It'll probably run even quicker, so I really need to be mindful with that. Just trying to get a bit better lighting on the parts just so you can see what it looks like without clear coat, and then we'll compare it to when we've got clear coat. Obviously it should shine a lot more. Okay, so guys, yeah, there we go. It's come out really nice, to be honest. There's the clear coat. That's 2 coats. It's come out really good. I'll just quickly show you around, and that's it. Consider the job done. Let this dry for like 24 hours and then you're all good. So there we go guys, finished product, all dried. Yep, I can try and get them out in the sun for you, but you can see that flicker, but that's what it looks like without the light shining directly on. But you can see a bit of sparkle. Let me try and take a piece off of here and then show you outside in the sun. So here they are out in the light. I have a feeling you could probably polish them up a bit more. Well, yeah, you would not polish them, you could just basically polish them and get them more glossy. But yeah, it looks really nice. There's just little like dusty bits on there, but yeah, it looks nice.